On Friday, shareholders of Abaxx Technologies woke up to unexpected news, shall we say. Everyone's been anxiously awaiting the company's announcement that they were uplisting to a big board U.S. exchange. Most shareholders were convinced it was going to be the NASDAQ, myself included. But when the announcement finally came, Abaxx was uplisting to the Chicago Board Options Exchange in the United States. So in this video, we'll discuss what the CBOE's plans are on being a truly global exchange and what all this means for Abaxx Technologies. So before we talk about the news involving Abaxx, let's review the history of the CBOE and how they've been making inroads into the equity listing market across the world. The CBOE has always been known for its operations in the options markets, but back in 2011, the CBOE had a relatively small foothold in equities markets. The CBOE had the CBOE Stock Exchange, or the CBSX, which accounted for 0.4% of the U.S. equity market trading volume, so there wasn't much to discuss there. They tried to expand by acquiring the National Stock Exchange, or NSX, based in New Jersey, but that didn't last too long, as by 2014 that exchange was shut down, along with the CBSX. So the CBOE now had little to no exposure to the equities markets. That is, until 2017. 2017 marked the acquisition of BATS Global Markets for $3.2 billion, which operated equities exchanges in the United States and Europe. And this was also when CBOE Holdings changed the company's name to CBOE Global Markets. And in 2021, CBOE expanded even more, the acquisition of GX Asia Pacific, which operated a regulated stock exchange in Australia and trading systems in Japan. And finally, tying everything together, CBOE acquired the NEO Exchange in Canada in 2022, which Abaxx Technologies was already listed on. So the CBOE truly had global equities markets. They operate exchanges in the United States, across Europe and the United Kingdom, as well as in the Netherlands, Australia, and with their latest acquisition, Canada as well. All this leads to the announcement we saw on Friday. Now, details are relatively sparse given the recency of this news, but the CBOE is now expanding to intra-listing on individual equities. So for particular equities listed on one of CBOE's exchanges within its network, so the United States, Canada, UK, or the Netherlands, then it can be traded and listed on all of them with relative ease. This means that any company that intralists with the CBOE can immediately gain access to liquidity around the globe on 4 Tier 1 exchanges. Australia is not ready quite yet, but that will make it 5 later on. So this is a big deal for smaller companies that don't want to deal with listing on multiple individual exchanges, even potentially larger companies as well. So the CBOE is truly creating a one-stop shop solution for going public or uplisting, and Abaxx Technologies will be the first company given the opportunity to do this. There's been speculation, given previous comments in investor calls and press releases, that the CBOE will be an equity partner in Abaxx's new commodity futures exchange in Singapore. The media blitz on Friday only added fuel to the fire, as Abaxx's name was plastered on every media piece about the CBOE announcement. They weren't required to disclose Abaxx's name in those articles. They chose to include it. This leads us to believe that the CBOE has conviction Abaxx will succeed. And given the previous history between the companies, with Abaxx already being listed on the NEO, which is now CBOE Canada, it's not too much of a surprise. All the more reason to consider the possibility that there may be a potential partnership forming between the two companies. As everyone familiar with Abaxx's story already knows, the company's focus is on offering financial and futures products in Asia, given the significance of LNG in the region, which is their flagship futures contract. You'll notice CBOE doesn't currently have an equities offering in that part of the world, just a proprietary trading system in Japan. So there is a good shot that Abaxx could help the CBOE list equities in that area later on, along with other futures and options offerings as well. So we'll see if that possibility is validated or not when we finally hear about Abaxx's financing partners in the coming month or two. While Josh Crum, the CEO of Abaxx, ensured investors that uplisting from the OTC to an official U.S. listing was not required to launch the commodity exchange, he did describe this as the critical path moving forward. Yeah, was he referring to requirements from equity partners? Is the CBOE going to be one of the financing partners taking a stake in the Abaxx exchange's equity? Only time will tell. I would say, though, that there is a good probability that the CBOE will be increasingly involved as we progress. Given the rising possibility for synergy between Abaxx and the CBOE, there are other revenue opportunities for Abaxx as well. This includes potentially licensing out the technology under the ID++ umbrella to the CBOE for a royalty, working with the CBOE on developing use cases for blockchain technology, and there might even be the possibility that the Abaxx exchange, not Abaxx Tech, is acquired by the CBOE at some point down the line. And if that were to happen, it's unlikely to happen anytime soon, though. So what's left? Abaxx management has stated many times that they expect regulatory approval at or around the end of Q2. Uplisting to a Tier 1 exchange in the United States was not an absolutely necessary, but beneficial step in ultimately achieving exchange launch. Now we're left to wait for an announcement on the sale of equity in Abaxx Exchange in return for market liquidity and regulatory and working capital. So the fireworks are about to begin. If you're not familiar with Abaxx Technologies and would like to learn more about their business, I'll link my introductory video and playlist on the company in the description below. Thanks for watching.